Hello, welcome to Local Anesthetic Podcast, your weekly injection of mind-numbing local news. This is episode 329 now, our Christmas special, our listener story special. And before we begin, I do just want to croon a little and just sing the following words. It's Christmas time, there's no need to be afraid. But of course, Rob, there is a need to be afraid because there is a rampant mutant coronavirus, Rob, stalking the land, which should be, Rob, the follow-up to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because, of course, it would fit the theme tune. Rampant mutant coronavirus, etc. What a show that would be.
Well, yes, in some degree. I'm not entirely sure it'd be quite entertaining to watch the cast members sit around the house and socially distance from other members of their family and friends, really. But yeah, nevertheless, it's one to put on the books. Yeah, I mean, what's to say, Alex? Happy Tiermas! Doesn't quite work. Yeah, I mean, our Lord and Saviour, Bojo of Uxbridge, has very kindly given us the gift of solitude this year. And what more could we possibly ask for, Alex?
Rob, we are like, aren't we, in this tier 4 zone? We're like in the Chernobyl blast zone, Rob.
We are.
That's what this is like. Nobody enter into here. Or what's that phrase at the beginning of Dante's Inferno?
Abandon all hope, ye who enter here.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, just to say, listeners, both Alex and I are currently recording from tier 4. Our plans have dramatically changed over Christmas. I'm very grateful for the fact I've actually managed to get myself a Christmas meal, and upset at the same time that I'm going to actually have to cook it as well. Yeah, I mean, Alex, it's all a bit bleak, and I know that's a word I've used a lot this year, but...
Well, Rob, what I'm hoping is that 2,020 years ago, Rob, hope was brought to the world when our Lord Jesus Christ was born.
That's right.
And what I'm thinking is 2,020 years later, Rob, this year, hope will similarly be brought into the world by the Christmas special of LA podcast, episode 329. And I'm hoping that it becomes it becomes something that people follow, like a religion. Everything that's said in this particular episode, Rob, will go down in history, and 2,000 years later, people will still be referencing this episode, Rob, and that's what they'll do.
I mean, you're right, Alex. There's nothing to suggest that won't happen. Who's to say in 2,000 years' time, someone or maybe a group of people may have sat down to transcribe this recording. And use that as their holy text. I mean, who's to say that people won't be looking in their stockings for a podcast and sitting around the fire on Christmas Day, listening to our dictum about weird local stories.
Well, because this is a listener story special, everybody. So every story we are reading out today is from a listener. But I guess the listeners will end up being like the disciples, like Amy, Kyber, Steve, etc. We know who you all are.
Exactly. They were the first ones to spread the good news of the LA podcast, and ultimately they will be revered around the world in many years to come. Probably after their death. By the way, I'm not wishing them death. I'm just saying that it took Christianity a long time to take root.
No, I mean, the last time we wished some of our listeners death, Rob, that was a low point. We lost quite a few listeners after that.
Yeah.
So we probably shouldn't do it again.
No, it was a low point. I mean, I stand by it, but it was a mistake.
But Rob, is there any news?
There is, Alex, but before we get onto that, obviously it is our Christmas episode, and despite you singing at the beginning, I feel we needed something else to lift the spirits. I mean, I love Christmas. I really love this time of year. I've already watched my annual outing of the Muppets Christmas Carol, which I really do love. I'm not just making it up. I do think it's one of the best films ever made. And we need something to really get ourselves in the Christmas spirit.
Is that true about Muppets Christmas Carol, Rob?
Yeah, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Do you like Christmas Carol generally, or only Muppets Christmas Carol? Do you not care for the Dickens version?
No, I love the Dickens. I love Dickens. I'm a big fan of Dickens. I mean, we've obviously talked about going back in time and me wanting to visit Dickensian London, but there's something about the combination of Muppets making silly jokes and singing really, what's the word? I suppose quite light-hearted songs against a human cast playing it completely straight. I really enjoy.
Do you identify with whoever the Tiny Tim character is?
Why would I identify, Alex?
I don't know.
No. I mean, yes, but that's purely coincidental.
Okay.
Anyway,
who does play Tiny Tim in Christmas Carol?
In Muppets Christmas Carol?
Yeah.
It's Peter the Frog. You must have seen it, surely.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, I mean, it is a classic. And by the way, there was a lovely article in The Guardian about it this year, which I might post on the Facebook page.
I'm more of a fan of Scrooged.
I do love Scrooged, actually. Yeah, that's also up there, I have to say.
So you just like A Christmas Carol, full stop?
Yeah.
Wasn't there a Christmas Carol version with Scrooge McDuck?
Yeah, there is. There's a DuckTales Christmas Carol. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because I don't think he ever changed his ways. He realises that this is just a lifestyle for him and just continues to make money. Very strange.
Anyway,
very strange.
Let's get on with the news.
Right. Okay. Now, first of all, Alex, I have a cracker, which I'd like us both to pour, which I realise might be slightly difficult over Skype.
Rob, stop. This is a Christmas special. It's a family show. I'm not pulling your cracker. Okay? It's not happening.
Okay, I'll put my penis away and I'll get the cracker off the tree. Right, Alex, what I've done is, if you can see, there's an A on one end and there's an R on the other.
Right.
So I'm going to pour this cracker on behalf of us both. Again, not a euphemism.
This isn't fair.
This is not fair. I'll use equal amounts of strength, which for me is very little.
Are you going to send me the present in the post if I win it, please?
Of course, Alex. You'll receive it between 6 to 8 weeks. Right. Okay. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Alex, you amazingly, you won.
You're kidding. There you go.
No, you legitimately won. There we go. Right, let's see what you got inside. And now you are the proud owner, when I can get the fucking thing out, of a glittery notebook. There we go. Look at that.
So, Rob, do you think, we said
it's got all 10 pages.
We were hoping to start a new sort of faith-based system based on this episode. In 2,000 years' time, are we thinking that one of the traditions of that time of year will be of sort of LA Podcast Eve will be sending each other glittery notebooks? That will be one of the sacraments, Rob.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think we can make it. I think leave it open-ended so people can either send notebooks. They may be designer. They may be made by the individual.
No, they've got to be shitty glittery notebooks. I'm saying it now. So now, Rob, do you see? When the scribes are transcribing this, there'll be a big argument between them about which is correct, because they'll say, well, Alex clearly said it had to be glittery, but Rob said, no, it could be a designer notebook. And this will cause a split, Rob, in the faith community. Yeah, a schism, like in 700 years' time. And there'll be a big war, Rob, between the Robberists and the Alexists.
Alex, this is the problem behind polytheistic faiths. Ultimately, it always comes down to what gifts you should give.
Oh, because you're saying we're polytheistic because both of us are essentially
we're deities, divine. Alex.
Right,
we're deities. Yeah. Right. I don't think that's big-headed to say. I mean, we've got a lot of podcasts. Right. Anyway,
I'd just like to say now, just to help those in the future with this schism that inevitably is going to erupt, that Rob is an imposter and should never be worshipped.
I'd like to say that Alex is a false god, and he's really said some really awful things about every one of you. Possibly libelous, I would actually imagine. Alex, there's a joke, by the way.
Oh, good. Can I guess the answer?
You can. Okay. So, what is a pelican's favourite TV show?
Well, pelicans are known for their big beaks, aren't they? They're the ones that got those big beaks.
Correct.
TV. The Bill.
Yes, correct. The joke, which has an age limit of 12 and 12 and up, apparently is making reference to a TV show that I'm pretty sure ended in the 90s.
It's over 20 years old. How old are these crackers, Rob?
I mean, I bought them last year. I think they were from last year. I don't think they're from the 90s. But It's slightly strange. I mean, obviously, the bill was a staple of 90s television for many years, but seems like an odd choice.
Yes. Again, maybe that'll be also associated with this new faith, Rob, that the bill will be very central to this. You know, watching the antics of Tosh and D.I. Burnside. We endorsed the watching of the bill every day at 5 p.m.
Alex, I mean, I obviously it was a very realistic, gritty show, but for me, it was all about Cracker. So I think for my followers, you should really swear off the bill and just indulge in episodes of Cracker.
Pardon the pun.
Pardon the pun. Right. Anyway, news. Like, I've got some news before we get into the meat of this episode. So the first is from Steve, who sent us a lovely picture taken from the Derbyshire Live, and his comment just said, "This is how you look when you're fuming." And the reason he says that is there's a picture of an elderly couple who look like they're wearing Christmas jumpers, and the headline is, "DFS leaves Derby man fuming after 5-minute wait for chairs." So again, I mean, we know that obviously a staple of local journalism is people looking disgruntled with their arms crossed, and obviously they've gone to the paper, and the paper's obviously told them to assume the pose. But obviously this couple didn't get the memo.
No. But then again, Rob, we all need a bit. I mean, you know, it might be for the best that your DFS sofa hasn't turned up, to be honest.
Yeah, quite possibly.
I just want to say that I'm not casting aspersions against DFS. They really do provide the best quality sofas.
Allegedly.
That should be their slogan.
We really do provide the best quality sofas. Allegedly.
In brackets, this is not a legal...
Just a get-out clause.
It's not a legally factual statement.
And Kyber rightly responds by saying they'll never get into angry people in local news looking like that, which, of course, they won't. And the other bit of news, which is also from Kyber, and he says, "As a certified comic book nerd, it made me laugh to hear Rob refer to Batman's home as Bruce Manor on LA 327.
Now, Rob, I noticed this when I was doing the edit. I didn't think you referred to his home as Bruce Manor. I thought you called him Bruce Manor. Because I remember listening to it thinking, hasn't he got... Because wasn't Manor the surname of the Incredible Hulk? Or no, Banner.
That's Banner. That's Banner, yeah.
But anyway, I thought you were just confusing superheroes. Because, of course, his name is Bruce Wayne. And he didn't live at Bruce Manor. He lived at...
Wayne Manor.
Wayne Manor, exactly.
Which, of course, I know. I am a bit of a comic book fan, more Marvel than DC, but, you know, who's again, Alex, are you a DC fan? I mean, do the disciples need to know this?
Yes, they do. No, I'm more of a Marvel fan as well, so it looks like DC are going to be ostracised from this.
That's fine, we can do that. That's okay. I think people will accept that. Yeah, so...
Spider-Man is the best superhero.
I mean, I strongly disagree with that. But just to say, Kyber, it was me misspeaking. I obviously know that Bruce Wayne lives at Wayne Manor, and his butler is called Jeff.
Right, is that it, Rob? Can I fucking get on with this podcast?
Yeah,
we're almost 15 minutes in.
Stories.
Right, listener story special. This story is from Steve, a very long time and loyal listener. This is from the Powys County Times. Powys, Rob, is that in Wales?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Right, it's a great story. It's from the 22nd of September, because these are stories people have been sitting around in our inbox for a while, and we decided to save them up for a listener story special, pick out the best ones. I do like this story, Rob. There's something quintessentially, well, LA podcast about it, really. Old TV causes broadband outages in... village. I can't say the name of the village. I'll try and say it in the story. So, Rob, get this. An old television being switched on each morning caused an entire Montgomeryshire village to be left with no broadband for 18 months.
Sorry, 18 months?
Well, yeah, so I should say very poor broadband, basically non-existent broadband.
Sorry, I don't quite understand. How does a TV, I mean, regardless of how old it is, how does it cause an broadband outage?
Well, Openreach engineers made repeated visits to the rural village of Aberhusson near Machlenolith.
McCuntlith.
Sorry, beg your pardon?
Did you just say rude, Alex? McCuntlith. It's a place in Wales.
Do you actually say cunt in the word?
I mean,
I think it's No, I think it's McLeneleth. McLeneleth. No?
Well, I was just taking an educated guess, Alex, from what the hell you were trying to say.
Oh, I see. Because of connectivity issues and slow speeds from 7 a.m. each day. Tests showed the network was working fine, and the engineers even replaced large sections of cable that served the village, but the problem persisted. An investigation revealed a burst of electrical interference at Abba Hassan at 7 a.m. I think I said that right, didn't I? Abba Hassan. At 7 a.m. each day, which was traced to a property in the village, a single property. The mortified householder confirmed that they switched on their old television at that time every day, causing the broadband in the village to be affected. They immediately agreed to switch off the television and never to use it again. And since then, there have been no more problems, which I guess, Rob, solves the mystery.
It doesn't for me, Alex. This all sounds very suspicious.
Do you think, how the fuck does an old television, no matter how old it is, why would it affect broadband? Is this thing giving off like radiation?
Well, that would be my conclusion as well, but I can't imagine it would cause an outage that big.
It might be like giving off Chernobyl style radiation.
Quite possibly.
Because everybody loves, Rob, a good Chernobyl reference at Christmas.
Alex, is it really Christmas if Chernobyl isn't referenced? I mean, I think there's definitely a T-shirt in there, maybe with the failed reactor with Santa Claus flying over the top.
Or it isn't really Christmas without Chernobyl.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, Rob, that's how
radiation poisoning.
Rob, that's how Rudolph got his red nose, of course. Radiation.
Yeah, that would make sense. I mean, that's quite a take on a Christmas classic there, Alex, that he's dying.
Rob, talking of worldwide scandals like Chernobyl, imagine, Rob, the fallout. Just imagine for a second the fallout if it was revealed in a sort of newspaper journalistic sting that Santa Claus, otherwise known as Father Christmas, was interfering with his reindeer.
Oh, God, no. Alex, come on. I know this podcast has an explicit tag on it, but there's a possibility that children may be listening to this, and they don't need to hear that, first of all, that Rudolph is dying of radiation poisoning, but is at the same time being interfered with by Santa.
It could be that the two things are intertwined. Maybe Rudolph's being interfered with by Santa, and he's got a red nose because he's taken to drink to numb the painful memories.
I mean, of course it's a possibility, but it's not something... I feel that we should just, be sticking with the story. What is the story? Actually, why does Rudolph have a red nose?
Exactly. Michael Jones, a local engineer for OpenReach. So I should just say I'm in no way associating the company OpenReach or the individual Michael Jones with the other thing that I just mentioned about Santa interfering with reindeers. The two are in no way connected. I just want to be clear about that.
Hang on, Alex. We don't know what... I mean, OpenReach obviously have quite a vast network. There's nothing to say that they don't provide cables up to Lapland. And,
Lapland always sounded to me like a strip club.
Well, it may cater to very specific fetishes. But also, how else is Santa going to get his, his homemade videos? Look, he needs access to 8chan, okay? He needs to get those videos up on there.
Well, anyway, this guy says the company's chief engineering team helped solve the mystery by using a spectrum analyzer to look for a phenomenon known as shine, single high-level impulse noise. So that's what they were looking for. That does sound like something from The Shining, Rob. It sounds like something from like some sort of paranormal movie or TV show. Like it's like our very own version of Stranger Things. If we were to have our own version, this is how the story would start. This woman turning on her TV every day and all the broadband going out.
Yeah, not quite as exciting as the original, but I don't, Alex, something doesn't sit right with me. It sounds like to me that the government have been experimenting on this village, and they've scapegoated this couple because it's very convenient, and so they're maintaining that apparently this TV is causing this massive blast of radiation, which is knocking everyone.
No, nobody said radiation. Nobody said radiation. That was me. It's causing this thing called shine. High-level impulse noise, which knocks out the broadband. So you are suggesting, Rob, that what's actually been going on for the last 18 months is that the government have been running a covert operation some sort of experiment on this village without their permission, and they've needed a cover story to explain why the broadband keeps getting knocked out every day at 7 a.m. And their cover story is this, also involving, Rob, OpenReach and possibly Santa Claus.
That's right, Alex. I'm alleging that the UK government is trying to scapegoat an elderly couple for their nefarious purposes.
OpenReach does sound like the kind of cover, like the kind of organisation name for a sort of Bond villain criminal enterprise.
It's like it's a front for an organisation.
Its tentacles extend over the world, but again, I am now slandering, I believe, OpenReach, and I want to take that back. I believe that OpenReach.
Isn't it? But I think when Bond uses his pseudonym, is it called Global Export? Something that's really quite generic, something you're not going to question, just like OpenReach.
Well, anyway, he says we walked up and down the village in torrential rain at 6 a.m. to see if we could find an electrical noise to support our theory, Mr. Jones said. And at 7 a.m, like clockwork, it happened. Our device picked up a large burst of electrical interference in the village. It really is, Rob, like Stranger Things. I think we need to have our own version of this for this country, like Strange Wales. There you go, Strange Wales.
That sounds like a website that should. Well, yeah, true, it does. It does sound like a website that should already exist. Because let's face it, there's a lot of things.
Funny you mention that, Rob. Funny you mention that, because my latest publication I've been collecting is all about whales, as you can see, not the country, the mammal. Look at the blowhole on that, Rob.
Oh yeah, that's a nice centrefold, Alex. There, yeah.
Yeah, David Attenborough did the editorial for this one.
Well, he needs the work.
So anyway, so he says it turned out 7 a.m. I've read that. As you can imagine, when we pointed this out to the resident, they were mortified that their old second-hand TV was the cause of an entire village's broadband problems, and they immediately agreed to switch it off and never to use it again. And apparently, Susan Rutherford of OpenReach said that such issues are not as rare as people may think, Rob. She says anything with electrical components, from outdoor lights to microwaves to CCTV cameras, can potentially have an impact on your broadband connection. She advised people to ensure their electrical appliances are properly certified and meet British standards. Abba Sahan will be connected to fibre broadband later this year, hey! As part of OpenReach's work with the Welsh Government to expand the network in rural Wales. So that's the first time broadband's going to be coming to Wales, Rob. Did you know that?
It's a possibility. But also, I'm really concerned that someone's going to turn their toaster on and it's going to knock out half the county.
Right, Rob, before I move on to our next story, we did have a story submitted by a listener called John. Now, he contacted us. He said, "Hi, Alex and Rob. Loving both of the podcasts so far. In particular, Daft Talk. Really probably shouldn't say that when we're doing a local anaesthetic Christmas special, John, but never mind. Daft Talk is excellent. It's our other podcast, but I'm sure you're a fan of this too." He says, "It's been a while since I last submitted, and in fact this email was a draft I happened to notice when I was clearing out my inbox. Not a euphemism. I have a story which is from last year, I'm afraid, but it was from the Manchester Evening News and I don't think you covered it. Well, the problem is, though, John, it's a fucking brilliant story. The headline is..." Just bring up the headline. The headline is, "Mum angry after son missed school lunch because he took so long having a poo." But when I read the story, we had covered it, Rob, because it was that brilliant story about that kid who basically took too long in the loo, and when he got back there was no lunch left in the school cafeteria, and they offered him a tuna sandwich, but he doesn't like tuna and his mum wasn't happy with it, pulled him out of school, and he hasn't been there in months because she's very unhappy that they made him upset and hungry, in her words.
I remember that because I have a feeling we featured the follow-up story, because I think the follow-up story had a letter from the head teacher responding to her initial comments, which was, I think, quite condescending. But well, thank you for John for submitting. It was a great story regardless.
And if anybody can remember what episode that was from, let us know, because unfortunately Rob and I keep no database of... we should have a date. I mean, obviously on the website we've got all the episodes listed with the headlines Rob writes up, but they don't mention every single story we cover, so it can be hard to sometimes remember what episode covered what story.
Yeah, I mean, given the fact we are creating a new faith, we really should actually, be keeping these for posterity.
Can we leave that to the scribes, please?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Right. This is a story submitted by Khyber, another very long-time listener. BBC News, Met Police appeal over fake nude game show.
Yeah, I did. I haven't read the story, but I did see this in the news.
So, it's only short, Rob, but I had to read it out. A fake game show host tricked... So I guess a fake game show host is wonderfully evocative.
It is. It really is, yeah.
A fake game show host tricked two men into being filmed carrying out naked challenges for the chance to win cash, police have said. Can I say, as part of our new creed, that's one of the things you do on Podcast Eve, LA Podcast Eve. You carry out naked challenges for the chance to win cash.
Yeah, and I must state that there is no movement on this. You need to do that. Otherwise, you will face eternal damnation.
In 2018, a 28-year-old man told the Met he had been filmed in a hotel room in Newham, East London, where else, by another man who claimed it was for a show. Earlier this year...
Also, what a fantastic setup. So you're invited to a hotel in fucking Newham, which, for those who don't know, is in East London.
Why would you be filming a game show in a hotel room in Newham?
Exactly, Alex. I mean, what was he doing? What made it? I mean, either this man is the greatest salesman ever known, but surely your suspicions would start to be raised when there's just a man with what I imagine is a handy cam asking you to take your clothes off.
And what do you think these special challenges were? Sit on this pogo stick.
See, my concern is it's a lot more sexual than that. Please insert this carrot into any orifice you feel is necessary.
Well, when I said sit on the pogo stick, Rob, that was kind of what I meant.
Oh, I see, right.
Anyway, earlier this year, a 31-year-old man reported a similar thing had happened to him in 2013.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
That's 5 years apart, Rob. Scotland Yard said officers believe there may be more victims. The 28-year-old approached police in June 2018 to report that a man claiming to be in the entertainment industry had asked him to take part in a game show for the chance to win £5,000. He said he was required to take part in several, in quotes, nude challenges, which were filmed by the suspects who kept the footage. The second victim, who was identified by police in February this year, told officers a man had coerced him into doing something similar in a hotel in South East London in August 2013. Officers arrested a 29-year-old man in January 2019 on suspicion of voyeurism, and he was released under investigation. Sergeant James Mason said, "We believe there may be more victims in relation to these events," and basically they're urging anybody else to come forward. So what do we think this guy said was the name of the game show?
I mean, Alex, on Channel 4 at the moment...
Hotel Crackerjack.
On Channel 4 at the moment, we have Naked Attraction, which is obviously just...
Yep.
I mean, it's one of those... What I find really funny about that show is you can imagine it's one of the shows that Alan Partridge pitches to Tony Hayes. But it's almost unbelievable that it even got commissioned. So who's to say that there wasn't a game show just called Naked Challenge?
Right. Naked Hotel Challenge.
Naked, oh my God. Again, that would have to be presented by Noel Edmonds.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I think the person making these calls might have been Noel. So I just broke into song there, Rob. Sorry, because I'm feeling so Christmassy. Yeah. Okay, Rob, you got some listener stories for us for our Christmas special.
I do, and again, Khyber is on a roll this time, so I've got 3 stories to feature. One will feature at the end. The first story is from the, again, BBC website, so the same as Alex's last story, I should say, from the 19th of December. What I will say is all my stories are Christmas related. I've done this intentionally because of the time of year, and we need something to lighten the mood.
Is that a sort of passive aggressive sort of remark about my stories, Rob?
Not directly, Alex. No.
Right.
Just indirectly. So the headline is COVID at Christmas. Chris Whitty is more popular than Britney Spears.
Sorry, is Britney Spears the marker of popularity? Britney Spears sort of hasn't been around for a while, Rob, and she's not really in the best place. Why is she being used as the marker? I'd understood if it said is more popular than... Who's somebody that's popular right now? Fucking hell, my knowledge of current pop culture is poor. Jason Donovan.
Right, okay, good. Noel Edmonds. No, Alex, Kanye West. People like Kanye West. God knows why. But
yeah, okay. Anyway, so Chris Whitty.
As a benchmark, Chris Whitty. So the story, by the way, is by Emma Harrison and this is from the 19th, as I've already said. So few people have heard of Chris Whitty or Jonathan Van Tam at the beginning of 2020. Now, months after their Down Street press debuts, England's chief officer, Professor Whitty, and his deputy, Prof. Van Tam, are proving to be a big hit with shoppers.
Whitty reminds me of a Muppet.
That's very offensive, Alex. Why would you say that?
No, I mean like a Muppet.
I mean, he does, but...
Yeah.
As an actual like puppet, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. He also looks like a reanimated corpse. But
and mine was offensive, okay. Maybe is Rob part of these experiments that they're doing up in Wales?
Quite possibly, Alex. So, an online search reveals the faces of the two unlikely cult heroes on novelty mugs, T-shirts, beer labels, birthday cards,
But can't Whitty say, I want a cut? You can't use his face without his permission.
Alex, he loves the attention. What are you talking about?
Do you think he's become like a sexual pin-up?
I can imagine he would appear on those lists. You know they have like top 10 lists of like strange crushes. I imagine he'd be on one of those. So just to recap that list, because there's one thing I missed off. So novelty mugs, T-shirts, beer labels, birthday cards, and even prayer candles.
Do you think
Alex, I have found your birthday gift.
Do you think one of our sacraments should be that on LA Podcast Eve people have to light Chris Whitty candles?
I think, Alex, if we manage to all make it through this pandemic alive, then we should be giving thanks to Chris Whitty. He should be a saint, if nothing else, I feel. So we have Britney Spears and Michael Jackson designs. Again, I'm not sure the Michael Jackson designs is probably still a good thing to be selling.
Chris Whitty does have a rather vicarish sensibility.
He does.
He could be like the Archbishop.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I don't know, I can imagine him in some white robes with like an ethereal glow behind him.
Yeah.
I also think
Rob's got a crush, obviously.
I don't know. I think there's an episode title in there. The Saintly Presence of Professor Christopher Whitty. So yeah, we have Britney Spears and Michael Jackson designs, says Hannah Spears, co-founder of gift business Twisted Pickle. Chris Whitty is out selling them all.
Could I suggest to this rather tawdry little sounding company that they maybe update some of their... I mean, Michael Jackson and Britney Spears, I don't know, it doesn't really feel like it's really current with the times.
No, it does feel that they've taken a gap between sort of the early 2000s and then just decided, actually, we need to push out some more merchandise. I think it might be the fact that both her and her cousin are out of work, so they decided they need to make some money.
Right.
So the professional dancer began selling novelty mugs and alcohol labels alongside her cousin, Dan Geese, when she was able to work in lockdown.
Is the cousin called Dan Geese?
It might be... It's G-U-I-S. It's not geese as in the bird.
I thought it was two words,
G-U-I-S-E.
like Dan and Geese. First name and surname. Dan Geese.
Yeah, Dan Geese. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it might be Guys. Anyway, who cares? Dan Geese sounds a lot better. Dan Geese sounds like the man you meet down around the back of the pub who's selling you some meat at the back of his Ford Transit.
Not a euphemism.
Anyway. It would be very concerning if he'd open the doors, just stand there bollock naked. Although we might know who's been obviously filming those people in the Newham hotels.
Yeah.
So yeah, alongside her cousin Dan Geese when she was unable to work in lockdown. Since May, she has sold 900 Chris Whitty mugs, the majority in the run-up to Christmas. And she is expecting to sell even more in the new year. We are trying to work out why we have sold so many. Then it says about Chris Whitty, obviously first appearing on our screens back in March. Our Chris Whitty Next Slide Please mug has been our biggest seller in the year. In fact, in the past 24 hours, it sold 10 times our second bestseller. It has gone crazy.
I've got to tell this woman, this isn't a good business model because it's so generic that any other bigger company can just come in and do what you're doing already. I know I'm sounding a bit Dragon's Den here and bursting their bubble, but I'm out.
I mean, I don't think Alex, she doesn't need to tie for business. She's literally selling these mugs, and also strangely, she says the candles are tongue-in-cheek, but apparently they're also selling hand over fist.
Right.
Sean Ryan says it was early in the pandemic that he spotted Professor Whitty's growing cult status, and that's when he set up the Chris Whitty Appreciation Society. The group has more than 5,000 members, and some fans share their artwork on Instagram.
Artwork?
I think... Yeah.
Is it like Chris
fan art,
like
Alex.
New,
Chris Whitty fan
drawings of Chris Whitty.
Yeah, exactly that, yeah.
Oh, Rob, there's going to be a community there. There's going to be a community out there on DeviantArt or whatever that love drawing pictures of Chris Whitty and Matt Hancock.
Oh, Alex, you're absolutely right. There is going to be... and I can imagine it'll be graphic.
I'll just say this. Matt Hancock will be the sub in that relationship. I agree. The submissive role, I believe. Being dominated by Whitty.
Please penetrate my pandemic, that kind of thing. Yeah. We'll leave that there. Anyway, I'll move on to my second story. So, this was sent in by... Bear me 1 second, because I've just closed my notes, which is handy. It was sent in by... where are we? Also Kyber. Yeah, I'll probably say that at the beginning. It is unfortunately, it is from The Sun. We'll forgive him this time. It is a good story. I can't see there's no date and there's no journalist, interestingly, but it is The Sun, so, not surprising.
Rob, you can't criticise Kyber for sending a story out for The Sun because you allowed The Sun newspaper and ergo Richard Murdoch and his family to pay for a trip for you to Alton Towers by collecting vouchers, or it was Chessington, one of the two. Richard Murdoch basically paid for you to have a day out with Sarah, and I hope, Rob, you're happy with your decision.
Alex, look, I'll admit that yes, I did do this more than once actually on numerous occasions. It wasn't just Alton Towers; it was also Thorpe Park. But every time I got to the theme park, I always made certain that whenever I was on a ride, I was always shouting "fuck Rupert Murdoch" whenever we went down like a hill or something.
Now there's a good story if that were true. I'd read that story out of a local newspaper any day of the week. Man escorted off Chessington for shouting "fuck Rupert Murdoch" at the top of his lungs. Before banging his head on the floor and shouting "America." Yeah.
Listen to previous episodes. Right. Headline: Mortified shopper blasts Poundland's festive till alert, which left her humiliated.
I am so intrigued. So hang on. Poundland have a festive till alert, which must be something that comes up on their till. But it must have in some way highlighted her or put the spotlight on her in a way that made her feel personally humiliated, whilst, more humiliated than you can already be by being seen in Poundland.
Exactly, yeah. So, there's no denying that Christmas shopping is always an incredibly stressful experience, but add a global pandemic into the mix, and we're barely scratching the surface of our present list. Well, if you thought of facing crowded shops weren't testing enough, Poundland shoppers have complained about a humiliating new feature on the shop's self-service tills.
What could it be?
I don't think you'll guess it, actually. Is it
every time you buy a dildo from Poundland, it flashes up in bright lights on the till? Dildo sale.
Pervert. No, it's nothing like that. So earlier this month, a mortified shopper shared a Snapchat video of what happened after her Poundland payment failed to go through. Out of nowhere, the till's automated voice was replaced by Santa Claus, who started singing about her card being rejected.
What? Why did somebody from Poundland think this was a good idea?
I don't know. The message
Your
begins...
card has been rejected. I mean, how did this go?
So the message begins, card not accepted, is it on the naughty list? Because I'm checking it twice, I'm going to find out who's naughty or nice.
Oh, so it's those lyrics. It's that song. Going to find out who's naughty or nice. Santa Claus is coming to town. Put the reindeer away. Santa Claus is
then launches into the rest of the song, Santa Claus is coming to town, much to the shopper's horror. So let's try and do this properly. So, card not accepted. Is it on the naughty list? Because I'm checking it twice. I'm going to find out who's naughty or nice. doesn't quite work.
No, it should be, because it would go in, I'm going to find out who's naughty or nice. You're doing the wrong song. Anyway, whatever.
God, no, anyway, yeah, so that's what happened. They captured the clip. I actually used the wrong card, so it got declined. Listen to this self-checkout machine. Oh my God, I'm screaming. No, I'm actually going to email Poundland. How fucking embarrassing. Meanwhile, on Twitter, another horrified shopper wrote, "Your till's incredibly embarrassing," shouting out my card was declined over and over again. Not discreet for your customers. Because I need to transfer.
And then 2 Poundland poverty wardens come along and take you out for a good kicking.
Or because I need to transfer my money to the correct account. We don't need to know this, love. The whole shop thought I couldn't purchase. Well, technically a card was declined, so that's probably true. No joke, I was humiliated. Imagine Santa telling everyone you're broke. Imagine that, Alex.
She probably now has a lifelong hatred of Santa Claus, because it would sort of condition you to hate Santa now, because you'd associate his voice with humiliating you. Now she knows how Rudolph feels, Rob.
Exactly. Maybe she's seen the videos, Alex. A Poundland spokesman told the Mirror, "Santa took time out of his very busy schedules to do this. How can anyone be a Grinch about Santa? Our seasonal checkout voices, from Elvis to Yoda, are part of what makes Poundland Poundland." We haven't lost
I hope they've cleared that with Disney.
I'm sure it's all legit, Alex. Don't worry about that. We haven't lost our sense of humour despite this being an unusual year. Now, if I can...
Let's say Poundland's new slogan should be, "It's all legit, don't worry."
Yeah, none of it's stolen. It's all fine. Now, Alex, there are 85 comments on this story.
Oh, we haven't had comments in ages. I've missed comments.
I know.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, they're not particularly sympathetic, as I'm sure you can imagine. So, Craig, now I don't think this is our Craig, just comments, decline because you used the wrong card. You're in Poundland, love. You've only got one card. Which is really quite offensive.
Yeah, it is.
Don Smith says, "Having a laugh, it's Christmas. So what if your card got rejected? Maybe you shouldn't have bought all that toilet roll, lol." Topical. Cole Earwacker, good name. Surprised they haven't taken legal action due to the stress caused by the humiliation of the Poundland Santa till. Oh wait, that's tomorrow's headline.
I'm actually sympathetic to this woman. I do think it's a very stupid idea of Poundland to think that any shopper's going to want everybody to know their card was declined.
so yeah, you're right, Alex. So I'm just looking through this. I mean, Jerry Beaner says, "I'm surprised the demographic that shop at Poundland are allowed to have cards for their bank." I mean, that's really quite offensive. Anyway, let's...
Yeah, but it's Christmas, Rob. It's time for a joke and a jape. And laughing at people who are less fortunate than ourselves. Now, Rob, in between last segment and this segment, you just got a news alert that more areas of the country are being moved into Tier 4. So the blast zone, the Chernobyl blast zone, Rob, has extended. So there you go. And if you're one of those people to be in Tier 4, bad luck.
We feel your pain.
Rob. Huh?
We feel your pain.
Yep. Right, Rob, this I'm just going to read a story out that was submitted by Amy from Nottingham. Another loyal listener, regular submitter of stories, Rob. This is from thepoke.co.uk.
Oh, yeah, yep.
Now, I've got to read this story, Rob, and then I've got to read a related story.
Okay.
If you see what I mean. It'll make sense. Anyway, the headline is "The Greatest News Story of All Time." And they just say every now and then a news story happens that brings everybody together in the chorus of what? This is from the Jacksonville Sun-Times. So they're saying, is this the greatest story of all time that was reported in the Jacksonville Sun-Times, a local paper for Jacksonville in the United States? So it's only short, but Tito and Amanda Watts were arrested over the weekend for selling, in quotes, golden tickets to heaven to hundreds of people.
Wow.
The couple, who sold the tickets on the street for $99.99 per ticket, told buyers the tickets were made from solid gold, and each ticket reserved the buyer a spot in heaven. Simply present the ticket at the pearly gates and you're in. People can sell tickets to heaven, a Jacksonville police spokesman said, but the Watts misrepresented their product. The tickets were just wood spray, painted gold, with ticket to heaven, admit one written in marker. You can't sell something as gold when it's not. That's where the Watts crossed the line into doing something illegal.
Sorry, so you're telling me you could legitimately sell people tickets to heaven for $99, but just don't claim they're made of solid gold?
According to this story, Tito Watts said in his police statements, this is one of the perpetrators, "I don't care what the police say, the tickets are solid gold. It ain't cut up 2x4s, I spray painted gold. It was Jesus who gave them to me behind KFC." Sorry. Did you say it was Jesus who gave them to me behind KFC? Yes, and said to sell them so I could get me some money to go to outer space. I met an alien named Stevie who said if I got the cash together, he'd take me and my wife on his flying saucer to his planet that's made entirely of crack cocaine. You can smoke all the crack cocaine there you want, totally free. So to try to send an innocent man to jail and see what happens, you should arrest Jesus because he's the one that gave me the golden tickets and said to sell them, and I'm willing to wear a wire and set Jesus up. Amanda Watts said in her police statement, "We just wanted to leave Earth and go to space and smoke rock cocaine. I didn't do nothing. Tito sold the golden tickets to heaven. I just watched." Police said they confiscated the $10,000 in cash, 5 crack pipes, as well as a baby alligator from their home.
Do you know what? Kudos to the Pope, because that is really one of the greatest stories I've heard. I mean, what an excuse.
Well, it is, Rob, only that the Voice newspaper reports the following. Last week, several news outlets in the States and even in the UK, including the Mail Online, reported on a story that a crazy couple from Jacksonville in Florida had been arrested for selling golden tickets to heaven to hundreds of people. And it talks about the story. As funny as it may sound, it turns out the story was completely made up. It was an April Fool's that a lot of the world fell for. As an update to the original reports on the Watts golden ticket business, the Jacksonville Sun-Times wrote, "This story turned out to be an April Fool's joke and unfortunately we fell for it. The story, which several other newspapers also reported as fact, originated on March 31st with the website stupid.com, and the photos of the fictional Tito and Amanda Watts came from this 2011 collection of bizarre mugshots. We apologise for publishing false information. We regret this error." And of course Amy was also deceived. I'm sad to say we've lost her, Rob, to the fake news media. It just shows, Rob, that everybody can fall for an April Fool's, just like you did that time for the Benedict Cumberbatch story.
No, Alex, I think you've managed. I think you've misremembered that. I think you found.
I haven't.
No. That is fake news. Listeners, don't listen to him. He's lying. I'll post a fucking picture again
of the chocolate Cumberbatch.
No, I know. Thank you.
It still sounds disgusting, but anyway. That's me done, Rob. Right. Now, normally, at this time of the episode, I'd say it's time for our listener story of the week, but that's not going to work because every story's been from a listener. But we now have our last listener story of the week, and normally I play the recorder, and I'd play it something like this. Actually, I will play it quickly. Sorry, Rob, it took me a while to rummage around for my purple rod. So normally I play something like this, which of course is a perfectly accurate rendition of the tune. Da, 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 da. But Rob this week, as promised, has been learning to play the guitar. And Rob, I think he's very proficient now, and he's going to play us that jingle to lead us into our last story. You've been kind of WhatsApping me every day, Rob, to say like you are an amazing guitarist. So obviously, I'm just so excited. I mean, I think maybe you've just got a natural sort of aptitude for it. Genius,
Alex,
maybe.
Again, you're spreading fake news. So listeners, since I bought the guitar, I've probably had about 2 lessons.
Of course he has. It's been every day. You should see his fingers; they're calloused. Although that might be from something else.
Yeah, that's only one hand. So yeah, the guitar is here. So bear me 1 second while I just retrieve it.
Very nice guitar there. It's not a child's guitar. I do just want to tell people it is actually a full-size adult guitar, not a child's one.
Yeah, it is. It's let me move the mic a bit closer. There we go. So it is. It's a Fender acoustic, and I have tried to. Now it's not going to be chords. I'm just plucking strings because my chord game isn't what it should be. So right, okay. I think it's this one.
It does look rather good with the guitar. It suits him.
Right, hang on. Okay. Right. Okay. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I think it's there. Is it that one? No, it's this one, isn't it? No. Hang on. Okay. Right. Let me start again. There we go.
So what about da 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 da? All I heard was one note being played over and over again.
Hang on.
Okay, that'll do. As you can see, Rob and I are going to form a band, and it's going to conquer the world. Rob, in 2,000 years, when people are still upholding our faith, Rob, that we've enacted today, they're going to play that song in exactly that way on the guitar. That's going to be part of the sacraments, Rob.
It will be, Alex. Yeah, absolutely. And people will know. I think it's such a recognisable chord. I think when they play it, they'll refer to it as the divine chord.
I would say, Rob, that you looked the guitar in your hand suited you. You looked like kind of Kurt Cobain, but without the long hair or the heroin.
Yeah, well, I mean, the long hair went a long time ago, Alex. You know that, obviously, I'm not sure we must have mentioned it before, listeners. I used to have hair past my shoulders many, many years ago, and the heroin is still a problem, but I'm getting there.
Yeah. Right, who's the last listener story of the week from? Well done, by the way. In a year's time, you can do it again, and we'll see what it's like then. Yeah,
it will probably be very much the same. So, again, the final story is submitted, or was submitted by Amy. It is our obligatory story from the Daily Mirror. It was sent in on it was written. That's what I'm looking for. It was written on the 13th of December by Courtney Buchin. And the headline: Man astonished as inflatable Grinch he ordered for daughter is bigger than his house.
Inflatable what?
Grinch.
Bigger than his house?
Yeah, it's fucking huge.
Unless his house is very small.
No, his house is not small. I'm guessing, he's he must be earning a fair bit. So, when it comes to online shopping, we've all suffered a blunder or two due to not reading the product description carefully enough. We recently saw how one woman thought she was getting a bargain new sofa when she'd actually brought a piece of furniture meant for a child's dollhouse. I haven't seen that story.
Oh, where the fuck is that story, Rob? We've got to Can you find that for next week?
There's a link to it.
Don't worry. Please. Yes.
And now it seems that one man has also made the opposite error with the Christmas decoration he ordered as a treat for his daughter. So, Roy Liddell from Hartlepool, County Durham, purchased a large inflatable Grinch for his 7-year-old daughter Jasmine. But when it arrived, he was shocked by the sheer size of it.
Can I just interrupt, Rob? Sorry. I'm really upset that man's name is... Did you say his name is Ron Liddell?
Roy Liddell.
Roy Liddell.
No, Ray Liddell.
I'm really upset that this didn't actually happen to the journalist Rod Liddell, who I absolutely despise.
Yeah, the man is a piece of shit.
I mean, I despise him with a passion, and I don't understand how anybody employs him at all, and I'm going on record as saying that. Because, anyway, because if that had happened to him, it would have been very apt.
It would have been, Alex, yeah. Unfortunately, it wasn't... It'd be better if it had somehow been, inserted up his rectum, but and then inflated. Anyway, so the Grinch, which cost £500, ended up being bigger than the house.
Sorry, Rob. I've just realised that in our faith that we've now finally got, after however many minutes of this episode, our devil. Our followers are going to hate Rod Liddell.
Alice, I think that's okay. I
Set fire to an effigy of him every year. That is our commandment.
Yep. So, the Grinch, which cost £500, ended up being bigger than his house, standing at an impressive 35 foot.
Okay, let me just say this. You deserve nothing less if you're going to spend 500 fucking pounds on a Christmas decoration. Okay?
Yep.
I spent £400 on the star that went on top of my tree, but I won't spend 500 on a Grinch. No way.
Alex, that star is beautiful, and to be fair, I was quite surprised that those shepherds turned up at your doorstep, but I don't think those two things are related.
No.
So Ray has put the Ray has put the eyebrow-raising inflatable in his front garden for all to see and says it has been drawing crowds in his area. By the way, it clearly stands above the house. It is
Okay,
huge.
I'm looking it up now. I'm going to put into Google, inflatable Grinch bigger than house. And I assume that'll bring me the story. Yes, it's from the Mirror.
Yep.
What the Sorry, did he not Okay, first of all, you're right, the man's doing very well for himself. That is, for all intents and purposes, well, it's a mansion.
Yep.
Just to give people the idea of the scale of the property. I think this man knew exactly what he was doing, Rob. And I think he's an egotist and probably a narcissist.
Yep.
And he's inflated this huge thing to show what a big... Like, it's basically him inflating his big cock outside of his house and then saying, I didn't realise. I'm sorry. How could you not realise? Where did he buy this from anyway? You don't get this from Amazon, do you?
Does it say? He just need to
Dear
off the
Lord.
internet.
It's the size of the Statue of fucking Liberty.
Yeah,
Well, not quite.
it is obscenely big. The picture of him standing in front of it really put it in perspective. So there was a queue on Sunday morning. I made sure everyone was socially distanced. I reckon we must have had over 5,000 people visit. It's been a real marvel so far. He continued, I ordered it for my daughter as she loves the Grinch. I was delighted with her reaction, let alone that of strangers. Jasmine was just screaming at it like crazy when it was blown up. Now, fair play to him here. Following the mass interest in the Christmas decoration, Ray has decided to take the opportunity to raise money for charity. The parent has asked visitors who come to see the Grinch to donate cash and has so far raised more than £20,000.
Is he giving it to charity?
He says, all proceeds will be going to my holiday fund. No, all proceeds will be going to the Alice
The
House
Trump
Hospital.
re-election campaign.
All proceeds will be going to the LA Podcast Faith Foundation. All proceeds will be going legitimately to the Alice House Hospice, where Jay's dad
Who's
passed
donating to see a Grinch? Is he
Come on,
charging
Alex.
people for entrance? Is that what you're telling me?
I think it's a donation. It's a suggested donation. But Alex, he's giving it to a hospital.
Has he got nothing better to do? Has he got nothing better to do?
Alex, he's doing very well for himself. He doesn't need to work anymore. He's retired.
Rob, this
I
is
don't know.
this is shameless self-promotion, whichever way you look at it. He knew he'd get into the paper. This is intentional.
Alex, but be fair to him, okay? It's a good news Christmas story. He may have made a mistake. I don't think he has. He just wanted to brag about the size of his house. But at least he is raising money and it is going to charity. Let's give him that at the very least, as it's Christmas.
Okay. And goes to prove that not all littles are bad.
I mean, I won't go that far, but...
Thank you very much to... Who is it from?
Amy.
Amy. Another story from Amy. Well, there we go. Rob, that brings this episode of LA Podcast to a close. We look forward with a mixture of eager anticipation, Rob, yet trepidation. Well, not just to our next episode, Rob, but to 2021, really. As we move ever more forwards, hang on, I've got this.
Right.
As we move ever more forward, Rob, Rudolph packing his bags in the middle of the night and deciding, Rob, that he wants a better life for himself. He's going to give up the drink and he's prepared to tell the truth, Rob, even though he knows it will bring an end to Christmas for all of us. And I, for one, Rob, can say I won't miss Christmas. I think we should probably let this year be the last one we have and just move on without it. Let it be a pastime, Rob. A quaint pastime.
What are you talking about? We all need Christmas. Christmas is a time of the year where, goodwill comes to all men or something like that. I really do enjoy this time of year. It's a time of hope. It's a time of positivity.
From this day forth, Rob, Christmas is going to be replaced by a new national holiday, LA Podcast Eve, which never leads to anything, by the way. It's just LA Podcast Eve, where we exchange shitty glitter notebooks, Rob.
Yep.
We play very shitty jingles on a guitar and recorder, and talk about local news.
I think the idea is that on LA Eve, the family sits down in front of an open fire. They may not have an open fire, but you do need to start
with
one.
A burning effigy of Rod Liddell.
With a burning an effigy of Rod Liddell, that's right. So, like I said, if you don't have a fire, please start one. make sure you have something to play the podcast. And what we'll do is, hopefully, we'll release another dictum on Christmas Eve each year, and you should sit down with the family around your burning effigy, and as Alex already said, exchange notebooks, play shitty guitar, and just enjoy the atmosphere before, the following day.
So there you go, Rob. You're signed up.
Yeah, exactly.
You're signed up to the new system. Good. Where the fuck am I? We can be found on our website, lapodcast.net. We're on Twitter at @lapodcast. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/lapodcast. We're on Spotify, would you believe? We are there too. Now, if you want to submit us a story, if you want to be featured on LA Podcast, you can post it on Facebook, you can tweet it to us, or you can email us the good old-fashioned way, lapodcast.net@gmail.com. That's lapodcast.net@gmail.com. Now, Rob, to round off this episode, as always, it's time for the headlines, which never made it. All of these are from listeners. We won't bother to read out what listeners they're from. You know who they're from. We're just going to read out what the headlines are.
Alex, can I just clarify? Obviously, this isn't the right at the very end. There is obviously something else to help us and to help our listeners getting into the festive spirit.
Oh yes, of course. As is the yearly tradition, Rob and I are going to sing lyrics to a carol that we don't know the tune of, so we've got to guess how the tune goes, and then I think I'll actually play the real carol afterwards so people can compare and see how accurate we were. So we've never heard that carol before, but let's do the headlines which never made it. I'll start. Son wins United States lawsuit after parents destroy his porn collection. He was very unhappy, Rob. He had films and magazines worth, Rob, an estimated £22,000.
How? Okay, right, fine. How is that possible? Are we talking vintage porn?
Well, you've seen my collection, Rob.
Yeah, but Alex, that's not worth anything. If anything, I think, you owe other people money. So, Cyclops albino baby shark with one eye absolutely baffles fishermen.
Sorry, Cyclops what?
Cyclops albino baby shark with one eye.
Isn't that just like an episode title? Oven ready, Rob. Oven ready.
You're right.
Okay. 5 parrots swear at customers at popular Lincolnshire attraction.
Nice. This is from Ben. My son, 9, stopped everywhere he goes as he looks like Kevin from Home Alone. Spoiler alert, he fucking doesn't.
Okay. Darth Vader statue on Colston plinth is the perfect replacement. Somebody stuck a Darth Vader statue up on that plinth overnight one day, Rob.
Brilliant. This is from Amy. Man fined more than £1,000 after killing seagull that tried to steal his lunch.
I love this headline, Rob. Woking residents angry that it will be viewed like Manhattan, in quotes, if highest tower built. So they're really right, Rob. They're really anxious. And if you build this high tower in Woking, they're going to become like Manhattan. Newsflash, you're not.
Now, just to finish off, I've got 2 from Kyber. Bees hijacked aircraft, delaying flights by an hour. Just a sort of bees.
They did not hijack an aircraft. No. Bees did not hijack a fucking aircraft, Rob.
No, they just landed on it.
Right, it's not a hijack.
And the very last headline, the last headline of 2020. France's most tattooed man told not to teach nursery children.
That's a bit unfair. What if all the tattoos are like nursery rhymes and children's books? Then it should be okay, shouldn't it?
Exactly, Alex. They're cast aspersions on his character. I didn't read the story, so he may be a wrong un. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Okay, Rob, we are going to be back very soon with another episode of Daft Talk. And a week after that, it's going to be another episode of LA Podcast. We'll be back to alternating. But look, everybody, we've really enjoyed your company this year. It's been a really tough year for everybody. We hope we've made it a little bit better with these weekly forays into absurdity, which is really what they've been, Rob. Both LA Podcast and Daft Talk. And now we are going to finish, Rob, as you say, with a carol, which I'm just pulling up in front of me here now. The carol, I believe, Rob, that you've picked is called... What's it called?
Past 3 o'clock.
I've never heard this carol before in my life. And Rob, this always goes incredibly badly because, of course, both of us are going to try and somehow sing the same tune, even though we don't know what tune we're doing.
Yes. Can I also suggest, because there are 8 verses, we just limit it to maybe the first 2. Maybe I'm thinking maybe a chorus, a verse, a chorus, and then a verse, or vice versa.
Rob, I disagree. Let's sing it all.
Are you being serious?
Yes, I am. It won't take that long.
Right, okay. I mean, fine. Okay, so we start with a chorus, and it goes into the verse, then it's a chorus, then it's a verse, then it's a chorus. It's quite long, Alex.
Yeah. No, we just do it exactly as it's written. Oh, okay. So we'll just do the... So we'll do the chorus, first verse, last verse, chorus.
Oh, last verse, chorus. Okay, yeah, fine.
Okay.
So just to check, chorus, first verse, chorus, last verse, chorus.
Correct.
Right, great. Okay. Let's do this. Are we counting it?
1. Yeah. After 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Past 3 o'clock and a frosty morning. Past 3 o'clock. Good morrow, masters all. Born is a baby, gentle as maybe. I'm getting to have it. Son of the eternal, Father supernormal. No. Past 3 o'clock and a cold frosty morning. Past 3 o'clock. Good morrow, masters all. Last verse. Thus day I pray you, up, sirs, nor stay you, till ye confess him, likewise and bless him. Past 3 o'clock and a cold frosty morning. Past 3 o'clock. Sorry, wrong words. Good morrow, masters all. I genuinely feel, Rob, that was our best one yet, because it sounded like that could have been the tune. I'm now going to play us out, the real version of Past 3 o'clock. God bless.
And keep it local.
Past 3 o'clock, and the cold frosty morn. Past 3 o'clock, good morrow, masters all. Born is a baby, gentle as maidens, one of sweet Father supernormal. Past 3 o'clock, and the cold frosty morn.